Hello, AP Worlders. Welcome to the Middle Ages. During the Classical era, this era here, Western Europe was seen as a leader in math, science, literature, and art. Those were the times of the Roman Empire and Greek city-states. During this era here, the Renaissance, Reformation, Scientific Revolution, Age of Exploration, during that era, Western Europe was also seen as a leader in math, science, literature, and art. However, in between those two eras, for roughly 1,000 years, those years were known as the Middle Ages or medieval times. Sometimes people refer to them as the Dark Ages because of their perceived lack of advancements. Right, we just talked about the advancements they had during this era and during this era. All right, some people refer to this as the Dark Ages because they feel like there wasn't as many advancements. During this time period, both China and the Islamic world were making advancements and leaving the Western Europe behind. The Islamic world was expanding its territory and building off of scientific works and philosophers of the Classical era, which Western Europe was neglecting. Muslim scholars made huge strides in medicine and engineering. China also produced great works of art, poetry, iron, agriculture technology, gunpowder, and money. Western Europe's political system changed from a centralized government during the Roman Empire to a highly localized society, fragmented and decentralized and competitive. This political system based on a relationship between lords and vassals. All right, lords and vassals, as you can see here. Vassals protected the land of the lords and pledged loyalty to the lords as knights. All right, so here's our knights. Below the knights were the peasants, or serfs, who worked the land in exchange for protection. The peasants, or serfs, were unlike slaves because they were not personal property of their masters, but they were similar to slaves because they were bound to their master's estate as peasant laborers. This system is called feudalism, all right, and this is a feudal society. Feudalism in Europe led to thousands of independent, self-sufficient, and largely isolated landed estates or manors. Feudalism is also an economic system because the peasants would work the land for the lords and they kept some of their production to feed themselves while giving the rest to their landowners. Western Europe was cut off from trade from Asia partly due to their location and partly due to that system of feudalism. Under feudalism, due to a lack of a strong centralized government, the church became quite wealthy, with reformers often accusing it of forgetting its central spiritual mission. Towards the end of the Middle Ages, which would be known as the High Middle Ages, which would be from 1000 to 1300, during this time, Western Europe did show some signs of expansion and growth. Population grew due to improved agricultural techniques. Universities began and long-distance trade began. These advancements during the High Middle Ages were sparked from the Crusades, when Western Europe went to the Middle East and experienced many of the advancements the Islamic world had. The Crusades were wars undertaken at God's command and authorized by the Pope. Eastern Christians, people of the Byzantine Empire, they were in decline, and Western Europe went to war to force the Muslims back from Christian, or what they thought should be Christian lands. Most of the Crusades were aimed at controlling Jerusalem and the holy places associated with the life of Jesus from Islamic control. So here's Jerusalem. So most of the Crusades were aimed there. All right, but you can see from the map the different crusades, right? Some of them went to different areas, all right? But the majority or the most popular ones are the ones that were fought down here in Jerusalem. Overall, the Crusades had little lasting impact on the Middle East. Europe's power was not strong and didn't last long there. The Crusades did have a big impact on Europe. Byzantine was further weakened. Popes and the church became even more powerful. Taste for luxury goods stimulated a demand for Asian goods. They learned techniques for producing sugar on large plantations, using slave labor, and Muslim scholarship stimulated a rebirth of learning in Europe. After the fall of Rome, Western and Eastern Europe became divided, with the West following feudalism and the East becoming the Byzantine Empire. These would cause Christianity to become divided with the West, following the Roman Catholic form of Christianity, and the East following Eastern Orthodox form of Christianity. All right, so you can see here's the Byzantine Empire. All right, when it first started, around 527, right at the height, it kind of took up most of the old Roman Empire here, right? But over time, you see in 1020, it was reduced to this, I guess, pink, and then later on in 1360, all right, it was reduced to even smaller land. In the western half, over here, the side that they were following, that feudalism side that we were just talking about. This eastern half was by far wealthier. They were more urbanized and more cosmopolitan. In the Byzantine Empire, the emperor claimed to govern as God's worldly representative, meaning he had divine right to rule, which is one of the reasons why they didn't follow Catholicism like they did over here, because of that clashing with the Pope. All right, the Byzantine ruler was seen as God's representative. All right, so he didn't want the Pope to be seen as that. Over time, the Byzantine land would shrink, like we saw, and it would shrink due to the Turkish Muslims invading. All right, so Muslims would be out here. Right, this is the country Turkey today. So they would invade into this land. And then also the Catholic Crusaders would invade from this side, from the west. In 1453, the Ottoman Empire would collapse and be replaced by the Turkic Ottoman Empire. And then our last stop is Russia. Russia became known as Kievan Russia because of their prominent city of Kiev. The development of Russia was stimulated by trade. Merchants would travel along the Dnieper River, which links Scandinavia up here to the Byzantine Empire, right down here. Russia began located in an area close to Rus was located in an area close to both Christians and Muslims over here empires. So they had a choice of which path they wanted to pursue. Prince Vladimir chose to affiliate with the Eastern Orthodox faith due to his interactions and trade with the Byzantine Empire. He was searching for a religion that would unify his people while also linking them to a wider network of trade. Christianity was spread in Russia from top down, meaning the upper class would convert first. All right, so that's it for the Middle Ages or medieval Europe.